Oh, that's in.
Blistering starts to a tennis match.
The Shakespeare got it wrong. It wasn't King Lear. It's King Lear.
LeBron James with no regard for human.
Yuvraj Singh finishes things off in style.
This is a News Laundry podcast, and you're listening to NL Playoffs.
Hello and welcome to NL Playoffs. My name is Gautam. I have with me my co-host Aniket. Aniket, say namaste.
Hello world.
This is round 31 of NL Playoffs. We are recording this on the 11th or the 15th of November at around 9:15 a.m. in the morning. We have a very, very special guest. She's back again joining us. We have Sharda Agra. Sharda, thank you so much for joining.
Hi. Most glad to be here. Sorry to be late to the recording.
Oh, no, you're fine. We were not supposed to discuss this on air, Sharda.
Get it out there. Be open. Transparent and accountable. Yeah.
No, but something that the BCCI is not.
And many. Yeah.
But again, thank you so much for joining. We have a few things to discuss. Primarily, we want to discuss the T20 World Cup. But I know Aniket has an opening headline that he wanted to get through with you first, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think something important and interesting for news in India was the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports announced the Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award to Achanta Sharat Kamal. So I think it's pretty great news, and I think this year he's the only awardee for the Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna, especially after everything, the performances in the past. I think it's fair to say year and a half. So we just wanted to know, do you have thoughts on that one way or the other?
No, it's great. I'm a bit skeptical these days about these awards that go out. But I mean, if there was an award to be given, any award, like the top Indian sports award is given, I think Achanta Sharat Kamal has been like a leader for Indian table tennis. He was there before the whole Commonwealth Games sort of thing came about, and they got that Italian coach working with them, and he was there before everything.
Right.
He played competitively. He's been everybody's hero, whether it's Satyan or whether whoever else, or the younger kids coming through. And he's just a sort of a great personality as well. Absolute congratulations to him. Whatever award he gets, he deserves. Full marks. I thought you were going to ask me about this electoral election of the IOA that just suddenly vanished, but I shall hold my fire.
Actually, that was something I had next lined up, because 10 members of the IOA Athletics Commission, where out of which 5 are females and also Olympians. So and they are going to be electing their chairperson and vice chairperson among themselves, and I think this is supposed to happen today as we speak. So we just wanted to kind of get your thoughts for a lay person who, like me, who doesn't understand why this is important, and is it good, is it bad? What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so for the first time, the Indian Olympic Association has had an athletes commission, because it's been pushed by the courts to do so. The IOC has this very huge, impressive athletes commission, and it actually means something, and they are very, very strict about 50% male, 50% female. It's an International Olympic Committee demand, and it's a mandatory sort of request, which if it had not been, you would have had no women, or 1 woman or 2 women in this group of 10. Now the backstory to this gets even more interesting, even for the lay audience who saying, okay, this is a great step forward. Indian sport is now going to go into this new era of Achhe Din and whatever. But what has happened is that yesterday there was a list of about 42 or 39 or 42 athletes that were contesting for these 10 posts. And last night, suddenly, or day before, I think I might have got my timings a bit wrong. I'm on vacation. But either last night or day before, that list, suddenly everyone withdrew from their position, saying, we want to contest for these seats. Everybody withdrew. All 39 or 42 people, they just vanished. And it became almost like a North Korean kind of an election. Everybody unanimous, beautiful, fantastic. The birds are singing, the sun is shining, kind of a thing. And it's very strange. I just find it very strange that this happened. So it obviously means that, why did all these people stand down? What was it? Were they threatened? Were they promised laddus, whatever? So you don't know what this is. I mean, there are rumors of, all I can say before being taken to court for criminal defamation is that there were rumors of a meeting at a minister's house at 2 o'clock in the morning sorting out this whatever.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. Allegedly, there was a meeting, and there are people. Allegedly, there are people involved. Allegedly from the government, and from from the allegedly the bureaucracy is involved in this, the sports bureaucracy, and allegedly ministers who are currently not holding sports portfolios are allegedly in this as well. And allegedly, there is a sportsman who was part of this alleged cabal. I love the word alleged. Made sure that these names vanished, right? And so you don't know what this athletes commission is going to be like. It's got great names, but as we know, our sporting heroes sometimes, many times, as you have discovered over my careers, many years, they end up being quite disappointing, in terms of standing up for their cause, standing up for their athletes, standing up, putting up a fight against institutional malpractice. So these 10 people are great names, full salams, they're great in their sporting fields, but in fields of administration and in fields of fighting for these causes, that's what the Athletes Commission is supposed to do. That if an athlete has a grievance, he goes to that commission. Suppose he has a grievance against someone, okay, I could go on, I'll just say this very quickly. Cricket fan will say, what is this nonsense? We don't care. But suppose an athlete has a grievance against a coach, right, or against an official, and he goes to the Athletes Commission, but it's controlled allegedly by somebody else. How is he going to get his side heard? So it's a very strange. So I was reading the newspapers today to see this alleged party that took place allegedly at 2 a.m. in the morning, allegedly in Delhi, allegedly in powerful houses, but there's nothing there. It's all. I'm damn sure that there are reporters going to write about this. I'm pretty certain. I know the people who will say this is absolute rubbish. But a commission has institutionally been formed, so at least it's there in practice. Can you imagine athletes not wanting to compete? These are 42 athletes who put their name. They're saying we are going to compete for these 10 posts, and they say, okay, fine, now we're going to compete. What is this?
So, I know we are here to talk cricket, but I think just a minute on this, because I think this is personally very important to me, because we've had this debate on this podcast n number of times, right? Even with the whole FIFA under-17 girls, when things happened, we've spoken about how football players like Chetri have been, pushed aside by the governors.
You can see it on stage.
Exactly.
Photographs. It's disgusting.
And when you have stuff like this, it's now very clear that when you think about it deeper, there's a deep-rooted problem, and it seems like there is politics governing sport seems to be the problem. Now, how do you?
It is the problem.
Yeah. So how do you go one way or the other? Because to be very honest, as a layperson, when I read this news, I was like, wow, this is cool. This is so nice, because you have like PV Sindhu, you have these great Olympians who are there, and then we come back, and it's not a coincidence when 39 or 40 people are saying, oh no, I'm not going to, 1-2 we can say this. So this is like proper electoral politics, buying out, I'm not allegedly not accusing of any monetary transactions, but stepping down.
No, it's not monetary.
Yeah,
I can
influence and power.
Say that allegedly is not monetary. That I can say confidently it's not monetary.
Yeah. So this quid pro quo of whatever it is, it seems to be damaging not one sport, but as you dig deeper, it's rampant throughout any sport that you pick. And so briefly, I know this cannot be solved over the podcast here, but what are the ways around? Where do we go from here?
So this has come about after years and years and years of fighting to get this electoral system of the Indian Olympic Association sorted. I'm not saying that the Olympic Commission of some small country in some part of the world is absolutely clean, or some big country in some part of the world, the West or the East. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but the point is, we don't care. We want our Olympic Association to be much better than what it was. It was terrible. There was stuff going on inside the Indian Olympic Association that had the courts not stepped in and said, you cannot have state Olympic associations voting for you. State Olympic associations, okay, this is only 1 minute, were created for the purpose of being vote banks, right? And now that has stopped. So this was literally, it's like this one step. So it's like you've gone one step ahead, and now you've come 2 steps back, and then you've got to push on, push on, push on. So that's what it is. The role of politics comes in because money is involved, and in all these Olympic sport, it's the government and you and me, the taxpayers of the country, that are giving money for these federations to run. So there is good practice available, but it's very, very tiny. So everyone asks me wherever I'm asked, no one is asked, I just say that of all these Indian federations that are there, sports federations, who's clean? So you're looking at it and you're saying about 10%. That's the number, right? So that is how bad this is. And this is one step to pushing to get this sorted out. I mean, there is an athlete allegedly involved in this sort of nonsense that happened about this. So we are not onto happy and rosy and sun is shining yet, but it's there and it'll be pushed and it'll be contested, and it's good to see. I mean, I was so happy to see those 40 names. They're not superstars. They're just people who think that, I mean, I'm not saying they're saints, but at least they say, fine, I'm putting my name in this. Let me see if I can help. Let me see if I can do something.
Yeah.
And then they say, no, you can't.
So this is a moment when
all the hukums of the world are saying that, no, you can't. We do not like democracy. This sounds like which government in the world would not want to sort out their electoral role and be unanimously elected every time?
Yeah.
This is what
it reminds me, I'm not surprised that a particular athlete is in the know or in the cabal or whatever you can call that, because I was just watching a documentary on Netflix called FIFA Uncovered. It's just a brand new one that came out. It's pretty good. So Michel Platini, who is the World Cup winner for France, he was hugely into all the sports. He was hugely into all the sports politics and stuff like that immediately after he retired, because he wanted that influence, he wanted that power, and now he's a bit disgraced. So it's not surprising that an athlete is, maybe kowtowing to the current dispensation or whatever it is.
All athletes kowtow to dispensations, all dispensations. Let's not forget that. Because in India, particularly sports, it happens. In other sports where the athletes has their own money, like Platini does, they say, oh, let me get some more. Let me be in all these sort of various things. So it's basically that. So there's a great saying. It's attributed to Abraham Lincoln or his life. It says that everyone responds very well to adversity, but if you want to see a man's character, give him power. So this is what the thing is,
and it actually kind of, this is one of those moments when reality kind of hits me as a sports enthusiast, a fan of sport in India, because I was of the opinion all this while, and I know nobody is, everyone's in shades of gray here, right, including me. Yes. No one's in black and white, but you always hope that an athlete would do good by his fellows, right? People who are undergoing the same struggle. And here we are. We have n number of examples. It's not India. It's all the way to FIFA. So yeah, it's heartbreaking, but here we are. This is reality. So.
No. I know we have to move on to Rosie's topics like cricket, but I do want to, on related cricket topics still, but I don't think this has got enough attention. If you watch the T20 World Cup on TV, you see all of these Aramco ads, Sharda. Aramco is supposed to be is this huge Saudi Arabian-based energy company. I read somewhere, I think it's a report out there that apparently that this company is responsible for like 4 or 5 to, don't quote me on that, but about 4 to 5% of the world's pollution.
Allegedly or what?
It is a report out there. There is somewhere. So let me use the word allegedly. But yeah, but yes, and also the lot of controversy surrounding it regarding these human rights violations and so on. There's also the upcoming World Cup in Qatar that has its own share of human rights violations. So as a fan, Shard, and as a reporter, I don't know if these two intersect or not, but how do you separate that versus watching the cricket and enjoying the cricket on field or enjoying the sport on field? It's like art and the artist kind of thing, right? How do you separate that from this?
No, you don't separate it in the sense, but you literally switch off when you are watching a game, as in you're watching a game as you're watching a game, right? That's the question you're putting. And so you watch the game. So somebody says, how can you like cricket when you're just moaning about it all the time? But the point is, I like cricket. I like to watch it being played. I hope it's being clean, and I'll watch it. Who doesn't want to watch Surya Kumar doing all those mad things that he does, right? But when you have to then see the other side of it, you have to go into that and look at it. And the saddest thing that you find as a reporter is that your heroes are not heroes actually. They're just like normal people succumbing to power or to greed or to ambition or whatever it is. You just as do all of us. So, but we are not paid fancy salaries and turned into he has great character. So the word character really upsets me when it's used in sport, in commentary, because you've seen the whole range of stuff that exists. Hero, no chance. Stop using it, So it's just that. It's just that, you see that. I read a very interesting this thing today, a tweet today from Priyansh, who used to work at the Hindu as a sports reporter, now is studying in I think Canada, US. He said that this whole thing saying sports washing comes with the assumption that sport has been clean at one point. It has never been clean. It's always been tied in with politics, And there was an exchange between him and Siddharth Vaidyanathan, who said that, listen, we used to have Benson and Hedges smoking cigarette company ads in cricket in the 1980s. And you look at it and you say, oh yeah.
It was the Wills World Cup in 96.
Correct. Benson and Hedges in that 1985, I think, was Benson and Hedges. So yeah. So it was all of that. So it's human rights violations. It's like health warning. I mean, the world is changing. You would hope, but there is a certain aspect of political correctness that turns up in sort of sports conversations, saying it's a blot on football or whatever it is. Saying it is how business works. It is how sports works because it has become a huge industry. If it was an amateur sport, it was fine. You would have all been playing. It wouldn't have been money. We wouldn't have a television to watch it. So that's the whole deal that there is. I mean, for example, quickly. Every time an Olympics is held in a sort of a Western kind of a country, it's like not going to happen ever. It is going to be an absolute calamity. Even Greece got like absolutely hammered. It's not going to be ready. It's not going to be ready. In Beijing, the air is bad. In Rio, falana. And you're saying, yes, we know you have to churn out these stories. If I was working for the news agency, I would have to churn them out too. And it always comes together when it has to come together. But there is like this whole build-up of English language, what I call the Anglosphere sort of responds immediately to the non-Anglosphere with contempt and disdain or whatever. And this is what Qatar is, I think. I love the way that, what's his name, Sepp Blatter came and said, I should not have given it to Qatar.
Yeah.
What?
You were in power doing the thing. You were the guy.
Did you not read the papers?
So, Sharad, again, I know we have you for limited time, so I'm going to just ask one follow-up question on this. And it's about to do with, privatization coming into sport. Is that an option? Is that a solution? Where do we go? Because again, Gautam's talking about Aramco, sponsor money. So, I mean, I think the underlying is big money and big power, right? Whenever this goes, it leads to corruption. But what are your thoughts as someone who's been in this field, like, especially with all that Olympics, we have the podium schemes that are going on, athletes actually doing well.
Yes.
What are your thoughts along these lines?
When you're saying privatization, you mean the introduction of private enterprise into the functioning of sport in India, you're referring to specifically?
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, very focused on India, not necessarily running the bodies, but, even coming in, because once that, in my head, if that's streamlined, so maybe you can, avoid these kind of stories. I don't know. I'm hoping too much, maybe, but
no. I think the advent of private interest and enterprise in Indian sport changed sport in a huge way. Huge. So you're looking at this started in about say 2005, 2006, because your top elite athletes, they came in. Were basically, it only happened because our sports federations were so useless and so corrupt. Because people came in and said, look, we've got these great athletes here. They need to be given a chance. They need to be given sort of the best, most responsive kind of a treatment when it comes to where do they want to compete. Individual athletes, where do they want to compete? Do they need, sports science intervention at this time? Are they injured? Who should be coaching them? The moment these people, they came in, this is a completely desi invention. These sort of, they call themselves sports non-profits, but there is profit that is being made. So when these private companies came in, it changed the game. Because then the government says, yeah, we are giving the money, they are getting all the publicity. So then the government put in the top scheme and they did whatever. How can it be athletes thank them all the time? What about the fact that we give them all the... So it became that. And because our sports administration was so useless, this kind of breed of entrepreneurs was born. I mean, it was created like that. And there is now, for example, Wrestling Federation says, I do not want my athletes going to these things. This fellow who is an MP, he's MP of the wrestling, member of parliament, is the president of the Wrestling Federation. He is banning his athletes from going there. So it's almost like you're trying to control the athlete. It's not that the private company doesn't control the athletes. They do, but at least the athlete gets a good deal in trying to make sure that they can produce their best performance when they do. And it's not that athletes don't try and play the system. They do. But the point is that the sports federation people would not even allow them to even get that far. Right. And like I say this all the time, athletes are greedy, they are selfish, they're insecure, they're manipulative, but they have a talent that no sports federation official at that point in time has. Some of them have been athletes, but at that point in time, boss, they are more precious than you are at that point of time. So you just have to put your hands up and say, all right, let's live with this.
That's fascinating. All right, let's move on to cricket. I think we promised the listeners that for like 20 minutes. It's been a lot of hype building up. So,
like the Indian team and the books.
Well, we were going to talk about the Indian team a little later on.
To be very honest, this was the more interesting part of the conversation that I had.
It is.
But let's go.
There is enough cricket content out there for the folks anyway.
Exactly.
But the T20 World Cup, we'll get to India in a little bit, Sharda, but I think we should open up with England. And I think their story essentially starts at the end, at the 2015 World Cup, at the end of the 2015 World Cup, because that is when they lost to Bangladesh and got out of the group stage, I think, in the World Cup in 2015 Australia. It's been a full circle from 2015 Australia to 2022 Australia, because that is when they said, look, we need to revamp our limited overs side. So Alistair Cook, Jonathan Trott, Ian Bell, Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad all got the boot and said, look, you focus on the longer format of the game. Let us now revamp. I think they got Trevor Bayliss in around that time. And it has seen, I think it was more, and afterwards it might have been Trevor Bayliss, Sharda.
Yeah.
And it has seen a bit of a turnaround from then. 2016 World Cup, T20 in India, they make the finals, which they should have won, except for those 4 sixes by Carlos Brathwaite. And then they win the 2019 World Cup, the 50-over format, and now they won the T20 World Cup again. So it's been quite a transformation from 2015 to now.
It's huge. I mean, England's performance is, you're looking at it and saying, what is happening here? So, but you've seen it as a almost like a methodical way that they've gone about it. And they've made these finals, right? They're giving themselves a chance at the title, and it's been relentless. And the point is that they did have a bad match in this World Cup. They lost, but they said, fine, just move on. We know that the system works for us. So, I mean, the format works for us. Let's just go ahead and do this. And they have been quite astonishing. And they've almost, so this baseball stuff that started when Brendan McCullum, they've been baseballing white ball cricket from like the last 6-7 years. They've been doing that since from after that 2015 thing. It's a lesson for, maybe it's a lesson for every team, maybe it's not, but it's just such a great model to see this happening. And I was looking at, I was doing an article on the same yesterday for the Hindustan Times, and I found the stats. I was speaking to a friend of mine, Dilip, who's in data and stats and whatever. And, he said that England has because he's smarter at getting the stats than I did, faster. So England has the best win to loss ratio in white ball cricket, in ODI cricket. I was looking ahead to the 2020 to the 50-over World Cup. Had the best win loss ratio of any team. It's way ahead of other teams in terms of the big scores that they put up, and there are going to be big scores. So it's almost like everyone has to play catch up with them, and they have all these all-rounders of a huge variety and number and ability and skill. That they have this kind of everyone says that 2020 it's a bit of lottery ho jata hai type, but England is fine. We know it's a lottery, and Carlos Brathwaite may have been the lottery, but we are here. We are still contending, and in this time they have won. So India has the numbers in India are decent, but our performance compared to England is nothing. They won 2 titles, right? They won 2 white ball titles 2016 onwards. A phenomenal performance. Like, you're looking at it and saying, oh my God, this is England. This is not what we know English cricket to be all about. It's being staid, conservative, whatever. So they have literally reinvented that, and they've picked the team that was supposed to do this. and it's worked out for them. I mean, it's superb, and I don't think it's worked out for them by accident. It's like they've got the numbers and they've got the method that is to go with this. And whoever's competing and coming close to them, they have to catch up because I think they're ahead of the game in terms of international T20 cricket.
Shada, do you want to take a break for your charging?
Possibly. So this is my cousin who's in the legal business. So he has these law books behind him. It's 27%.
They always make you look smart. The books in the background.
Seriously. I like to have my own books in the background, but now.
Yeah, I think last time you had your own books in the background.
Yeah, that's my own books. They are there. I do read them. I just put this up and charging.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
Okay, fine. It's charging. All right. Yeah.
And Shada, they bat so deep too, England. You feel like wicket falls, 3 wickets fall, 4 wicket fall. It's like Ben Stokes,
Ben Stokes,
Moeen Ali,
Yeah.
Livingston. They just bat so deep, and they have so many bowling options too. It's all about, the word that is often thrown these days because with the advent of analytics is matchups, right?
Yes.
So they have options for every matchup.
All matchup, yeah. And so when Moeen Ali came into bat, and I always think Moeen Ali would have, had he played Test cricket, he should have batted higher. And you're looking at him and saying, my God, look at what he's able to do, and Stokes, of course. Stokes is almost like Superman kind of abilities. You want to win a tournament or whatever, you bring Stokes in,
I just knew he was not going to get out. I just knew it. He was going to be there till the end.
Yeah, absolutely. That is him. I mean, so he's almost like he's like the 21st century Botham, in that sense. And you associate Botham only with the Ashes, but boss, something else here.
Yeah, for sure. Aniket, sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
So the other thing I was wanted to talk about was Pakistan, because they always have interesting tournaments. Pakistan are always a fascinating team to watch. You know that even though they're down in the dust, you know that somehow they're going to find their way back. Now, this is not one of those tournaments where they had their fortune in their hands, because it was dependent on South Africa choking immense. Like, I don't know what kind of job that was against the Netherlands, but Pakistan were given a lifeline and they made the most of it. They won against Bangladesh, which they should have, and then made it to the semi-finals. They won against New Zealand, right? Yeah,
and emphatically,
yeah. All of a sudden, something switches and they just play so well.
So Pakistan are really like the opposite of England, right? So I remember thinking that Pakistan are thinking that apna theory very low. We will play cricket. We will play. We are here to play for fun. We may be whatever when we go down, we will go down in flames, but we will play. I mean, they have enormous talent. I felt that Shaheen Afridi's injury was a bit really.
Do you think they had a chance with his 2 overs?
Pardon?
Do you think they had a chance? Pakistan had a chance with those 2 overs?
But that is just because we are sort of Pakistaning everything in our head, and saying that ho sakta tha, it would have happened or whatever. So, but I think that luck had run its entire course when Netherlands beat South Africa. They said, boss, this is the maximum you're going to get. Now you just turn up. So they are fantastic. They're always superb. They're always entertaining. And what I liked about them was the fight that they put in. It was 138, but they made it look a big total until those last 2-3 overs when Ben Stokes and Moeen Ali were like, sorry, what? And so they were able to, they put in that fight. And I think all of us, maybe with Shaheen Afridi, you said, like, boss, you had so much luck now. This is just like, sorry. But that's the thing. They are like the team that says that we are going to, this is how we're going to play. And that Kudrat ka Nizam has just become one complete thing for everybody. It was like, imagine a coach coming up and saying, boss, sorry, this is what it is. And for the non-Hindi speaking people, Kudrat ka Nizam is basically, it's almost like it's the law of nature, or it's like how nature is ordained. This destiny. Is what happens. Destiny. Yeah. It is. No, it's not destiny. It's like basically it's how nature is ordained. This is how nature works. It's that. So it is part of the larger scheme of things. So it's just mad. They are superb. They could be absolutely rubbish 3 days from now, but they could be absolutely fabulous a year from now. You don't know.
So actually, when I learned the score, right, that was set, my first thing was Pakistan is one of the only bowling attacks that can probably actually, put up a fight in terms of defending this, because it obviously seemed like a low scoring game. And then way England played India, which we will come to, after, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to be a tough game. But when just you look at their bowling lineup and what they are, I was like, oh, matlab,
Yeah.
picture baki hai abhi, like it's not
Yeah.
done.
So immediately you see it's Pakistan, you lapse into all kinds of other parallels, into cinema, into drama, into like Kudrat ka Nizam or whatever, So you're probably right. They had the bowling attack to be able to hold it. And I was thinking, what would have been the total that England would not have been able to chase? And you're looking to visit, then looks like they had a whole over left. Against us, they had how many overs left? They still had, we scored 168. And you're looking at that thing, what would have been enough against England? And I don't know.
It's tough to come up with a number.
They were definitely, I think, at least
193.
Well, you felt they were saying that it might have been a par score, but it definitely wasn't a par score. I think they were definitely 20 short at least, given the track. They said it was a used pitch. I think they were using that for the third or the fourth time. That pitch, so it was a little weary. The ball was turning, but then
so you have all that in, but the fact that England, it took England 8 balls or something like that to take that match away, and so you're thinking that what is the total? So in terms of logic, you're saying, okay, 20 runs is 150, but that's like England had an over left. You think they would have not got 20?
Yeah, I know. Which leads me to the India question, right? We know Aniket and me were previewing the T20 World Cup, and we said, given the side that they have, semi-final is probably a best result. Before the World Cup even started, we were saying, semi-finals is probably going to be a good result. If they make it any further than that, I think that's a bonus. And I think they probably achieved as much as they could have this time around.
I don't know, but you're right. We all were saying we were like under. But don't talk to the television executives. They say,
You say
all
this
this Hotstar promo stuff. I'm telling you, Aniket, you're not here. All of this Hotstar promo stuff is insane, man.
It is insane, and their coverage is insane. It's just so it's like they build it up and build it up. So you understand what they're saying, and you say, the semi-final is fine. This is because we've had this semi-final sort of thing that is there. But I think what was disappointing about the England match is how we defended that score.
Yeah.
Why we were able to, and everyone who was in the Aniket, another thing, the Hindi is much more open than the English commentary is, right? The English commentary tends to be, but the Indian commentators tend to sort of hold back a little bit for whatever reason. But the Hindi commentary, they were saying this is not enough. This is absolutely not enough. I mean, you're looking at those. You look at Pandya's finish at the end, and you look at the 6 overs and say, "Come on, you could have done better in those 6 overs." And given the way England responded, everything about the wicket not being tacky, being spongy, being whatever, and you're saying it's the same match
for no loss.
So to no loss, exactly.
Yeah. To your point about, I think Rohit Sharma, I think after the match he said he was a little disappointed by the bowlers, but I thought he should have been more. I know, right? It was a bit rich coming from him.
Exactly.
I read a stat. Yeah, I read a stat somewhere that this. I think it's the strike rate for Indian strike rate was about 95 in the power play. That is only second to last from UAE.
65% dot balls.
Yeah, so I thought it was a little rich coming from Rohit Sharma to put the blame on the bowlers. I think they were too conservative.
You didn't turn up with the ball. What were you doing with the bat?
Yeah, exactly.
You were there first. You're on this ground with chota square boundaries. What are you doing?
Yeah, I got the sense that
this is me being ranting raving fan. Okay?
No, you're fine. I think the balance took a bit of a toll because the openers weren't in form. KL Rahul had to find his form through the tournament, which he kind of did.
Find your form in the World Cup,
But that was the problem. Yeah, maybe they should have. The right thing was to maybe promote Kohli up from the number 3 to opening, and then everybody moves. What is that?
How do you promote Surya up?
Well, I thought if you promoted Kohli to the opening slot, Surya Kumar Yadav could have been number 3.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
And then so that meant that one of Rahul and Rohit had to get the boot.
You had to take a call on those 3. You can't have 3. All of us who are being sort of neutral and logical and saying, look, you need only one of those 3 will do.
Yeah.
Who are we to judge? So they say, okay, fine, maybe not. At least 2 of those 3, you could have left out one. Because you said that at least if they make the semi-final, they made that final. I keep saying they played the best match against Pakistan. People say no, they played rubbish, and it was like that Kudrat ka Nizam thing happened for us also. They didn't have a great tournament per se. I expected them to reach the final. I mean semi-final. Because they are very, very talented, and they're driven, and they have this crowd behind them and all the rest of it. But you want them to do better in that game, right? Even if you'd lost by like, I'm going to get hammered for saying this, so I won't say it.
But the idea is you put up a fight, right? You go down fighting. So. And so, this is a recurring question that we've asked folks on our podcast. And me and I'll talk for myself. I call myself an armchair pundit because I've played at the lowest leagues. But the question that we ask is, what are your thoughts on the captaincy of the Indian team, right? So, Rohit Sharma is there. You've seen so many captains along your journey. And... this is an ongoing question that we ask. So, your thoughts, and then I'll take Gautam's.
I think the whole thing about having split captaincy across formats and everything, it seems to make more and more sense now, right? Because in the 2025 T20 World Cup, you're not going to have Rohit Sharma around. So you might as well start working from now. Rohit is obviously going to stay in the team till next year's, I don't know what his contract is, till next year's World Cup that there is. And you say, fine, this is the format that you can play. But maybe you need to split captaincies in that sense. He's been an excellent T20 captain for Mumbai Indians.
But a totally different team.
A totally different team, exactly. And a totally different set of... what are T20 international basically about? They are fundamentally about this World Cup that you're going to play in 2 years, right? So this is you're building up to that. I don't know whether Kohli, who am I to say this? Kohli giving up the T20 captaincy was perhaps an error on his part in that sense, because it led to many other events that took place and so on. And if he's going to be a leader, but now he doesn't want to be captain in any of the things, so it's all right. He's batting well. He had a good tournament.
Really, yeah.
He had a superb tournament, and you would need someone younger. You would need someone younger in this format, and someone more ready for it, as in. Yeah. Because of the fact that you're only every 2 years you're going to play this one tournament that matters, right? And you have to get the trophy, because you are India, right? You are this big team with this big money and this big presence and clout and all this hangama and noise, and you show up. So basically, show up at a big event and at least be in the final. I mean, it sounds very mean and whatever, but it's life. What do you do? It's sport, professional sport.
Just like Pakistan, Shardar, they definitely rode their luck because they pulled one out of the bag against Pakistan. They should not have won that game. There's no chance except for that Kohli innings. I still can't get over that, by the way. They lost badly to South Africa, and they beat every other team that they should have beaten.
Which they should have beaten. It was not a massive...
no.
Great. It wasn't emphatic performances everywhere. It always needed something headline worthy and clip meme worthy and whatever to do it. You don't need to do that. I mean,
and maybe it was because they made to the semi-finals. I don't know what happened. Maybe if Jasprit Bumrah and Jadeja were there, maybe it would have been a different story. Because
you had injuries. You understand that. You understand that the injuries also affected you. And so definitely Bumrah and Jadeja being around would have definitely brought, maybe your results would have been different all the way through, right? Going through, no matter what you win or lose, your performances would have been of a slightly more competitive kind of a nature in not the Pakistan match, but in the match against India.
And I think and we'll finish up with India. I think they were left in a bit of a conundrum, the team management, mostly because they had to pick at some point between Rahul and Rohit Sharma, and maybe they would have dropped KL Rahul, but then he got back into form a little bit, and then they were left with, we really can't drop Rohit Sharma anymore, so let's continue with what we have, and they kind of got stuck.
Yeah, absolutely right. Spot on that they got stuck. And this whole thing of you can't change a winning combination. it is not a commandment from God. You can do whatever you want in the match that's there. It's a big match. Put in your best team. Put in your best team in that sense. So they did get stuck, but they have to sort that out now.
Yes.
They have to sort it out now. Now there's no 2020 World Cup to stress over, so you have to start the thing now. But there is. Hopefully my column will appear soon in HT that there's this World Cup that's coming ahead. And don't think that this home advantage is going to carry you all the way through. It's not, because England have done something that has literally changed the game. And you're not going to change the wickets to make them turning tracks or whatever. There's no way. Commentator, the broadcaster.
They will be ICC monitored too, right? If it's a world event.
Yeah, absolutely. And the broadcasters will say, boss, we want big scores, we want big scores. So you're looking at, so India's had a lot of big scores going into in this period from 2015 to now. They're kind of close, but their win-loss ratio is less because of their run scored per over is much less than England's also. They're scoring at about 5 and a bit, and England has 6 points.
Yeah, and scoring at less than run a ball in the power play is just, I think, unpardonable in today's T20 format. It's you can't do that.
Really. I just take a single.
Before I let you in, Aniket, I would really want to talk about South Africa, because there is this whole baggage that South Africa carries for World Cups ever since '92. Do you have a little bit of time, Shata? 5 more minutes and we'll be done.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. And there's this lot of baggage that South Africa carries through the World Cup, and that looks, I don't know if it's a thing or not, but it has to be, right? If you start from '92, they're outdone by the Duckworth system.
You're thinking that what will act, but there's no stopping it. They have to turn up to these games. So I read a very interesting piece yesterday, very old piece written about 20 years ago about Malcolm Gladwell about the difference between choking and panicking, right? And they said that if you take the occasion away, if you take away the crowd, the broadcaster, whatever, South Africa will always win. But it's the occasion that has created that whole thing that happens all the time. If you take, but that because professional sport demands it and it's ruthless. But the point is that they have to cross the line sometimes. They have to win something. And and everyone will get asked, like generation upon generation upon generation is carrying this. It's like the All Blacks. They said you're a great team and you can never win the World Cup after that first one in 87. Then they won in 2011. It took them a long time to do that, right? And they were always carrying that choking thing with them, and it'll always turn up. It's really unfortunate because they've got good players. Look at what they did to us, And they've got a good team. They've got everything going for them, and this thing happens, And whenever there's a massive amount lose, South Africa just drop it, But I always look at the example of India and say that that maybe what's happening to us is the same thing. It's the occasion that has caused this, And the difference between panicking and choking, now that I've read so much, is that when you panic, you're not thinking, you're just sitting out. And when you choke, is that you're thinking too much.
Wow. So
I was
just to
not my thought came in the article. So
that's wonderful action. Just to piggyback off that, coming back to us, India. So, and I going little nostalgic and in memory lane. So, when Dhoni was there, at that point, it just seemed that, Indians' leadership problems were sorted. Because you knew Kohli was next in line.
What Dhoni did is that he made that occasion not matter.
Yeah.
Like in that occasion.
Right. And then
do not start on test cricket.
Yeah. So, and then even as me sitting on sideline watching on the screen, not even on the sideline, right, watching from distance, it always seemed that Kohli, it was obvious Kohli would be the next flag bearer, and you see leadership qualities in him. And after everything that's happened now to Indian cricket, we are here. I struggle to see where leadership, and is it only me? Because that kind of leadership.
Selectors also.
So and I wanted yours and Gautam's thoughts on this. Like what is the solution? Because India was cruising. At one point we were cruising. At least in my head, we had everything sorted. Agla kaptan kaun hai, malum hai, kya hone wala hai, sab kuch sorted hai. And now here suddenly it's like you've been thrown in a top spin. And you're wondering, so what are your thoughts on this? Like,
Gautam, you go first because I've been talking the most.
Oh no, I think honestly, I think Rohit Sharma has been underwhelming to me so far. It's not I did not know that he could get so emotional on the field, but that's another matter. But I think they got the team wrong a few times. Now, should he have dropped himself sometimes like Kane Williamson does? Maybe not. But I don't think he has given. I don't know. The teams looked a little jumpy to me, Shad. I don't just from this again looking from the TV from way far, looked like he did not have anything under control.
I think in the match against England, everything looked like it had gone awful. It had gone really bad, and you should be able to pick yourself up and at least put up a bowling performance that is there. But a lot of that has to do with the confidence that you are carrying into the game yourself.
Yes.
So which he was not. It didn't work out for him at all. So we are in this very kind of now we're going to one-dayers against New Zealand. So in a few days from now, and everyone says too much cricket. And so you should change format. You should change your captains across formats and become a little bit more cool about it. You can have separate teams. You pretty much do that. You are able to. You're saying Indian cricket ka depth is so much that you're able to play teams and also make sure that they're led differently, and that they're planned and prepared for differently, like England have done. Bumrah's had an injury, but why should he be why can't he be the captain? There's all those questions there. Not KL Rahul, because we saw his captaincy stint was short and not very memorable. But why can't Bumrah be the captain? You need to give in the whole balance between DK and Pant. Pant is going to play cricket for longer than DK is going to, and it's great what DK was brought in for, and you're trying to fit those slots and everything was perfect, but you need to find that next generation kind of a leader. You need to look for him, and particularly in 2020 format, you need to find the younger person, because in test cricket you're thinking, okay, test at 50 overs, you're thinking, all right, let's see the year through, but in 2020 you need to find something.
And Pant himself, I think, has to sort his own batting in T20 format.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. I mean, I think they should try and open with him and see what happens. Put him at the top and say, go for it. And then we'll see. He's almost like the Sehwag type of player that everyone says that he's crazy in test matches, and in white ball, he gets a bit confused. But you have to try. Now's the time to try. Because everyone's looking at 23, but within 2 years there's another T20 World Cup. And in 2023, you have no option to only reach the semi-final. The final is on the 26th of November. You have no option. I'm sorry, it will not be there. Because it will just be, if we thought 2011 was crazy, and then the players said we were trying to shut ourselves, I mean, it's just mad. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. So.
Yeah, I was watching a very interesting video of Dhoni and Kapil Dev getting interviewed by someone at a golf club, because I think they're part of some special golf club or something. So it was like a mobile video. There's like, I think 40-50 minutes out there. And he was talking about Dhoni kept repeating, because people were asking him questions as to how you did this, how you did that. And the only thing he kept repeating was keep it simple. I always kept it simple. I did not think much. I would turn up on the game. I would think about what needed to be done, but I would just turn up on the day and he apparently did not talk at all to his teammates or anything.
His meetings are very
short.
Yeah. Very short and and you look at it and think it's slightly filmy, but it worked in terms of white ball cricket. It worked. What do you say?
Yeah, definitely worked. So maybe, I don't know, there's a sense of calm.
I'm so cool that I'm not even talking to you, but that I'm not stressing you out. But this is Indian cricket. Like Kaushik wrote a piece yesterday in the Quint, in which he said that the team had been prepared and they don't go to nets and all nets are optional and it's fine and it's great. And so you're thinking, okay, that's fine. But then you go up and do this and say, okay, maybe we should have done things differently. That they were all calm. No, we are not there. This is not the meditation Olympics.
And even when Dhoni was not in form, he kept that calm with him. I
think it's that being able to detach the situation from like, it's okay if you lose. So, but the point is, because I think the fact that he won that T20 World Cup right at the beginning helped him carry all the way through till the fact that they turned up in that T20 World Cup, the 50 over World Cup in 2011, and then of course CSK, God, whatever.
And by the way, he did repeat the process over results thing again in the interview again. He did say, it's for me, as long as the process was good, he did not care about the results.
I'm sorry. in ICC knockouts, the process and all that, we don't care.
It worked for him, but doesn't work for everybody.
It worked for him. But what he's able to communicate to the team in the sense of the fact that, it's okay if you lose. Maybe not to the media or whatever. Maybe so that occasion doesn't get sort of the better of you. I mean, the thing is that so in connection with the same Panic versus Choking article, Akash Chopra had written something in 2011 about the same thing, trying to say that, so we did play the kind of match that we played against Australia in 2011, right? That quarterfinal match, that was a serious match. And if so we didn't have that kind of a performance, which is why we looked underwhelmed through the whole thing, no matter what the commentators were saying.
So yeah, definitely. I think we'll leave it there, Shadad. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I will end with you one final question. I think you recently interviewed Vishwanathan Anand over the weekend with another grandmaster. I did see that. So tell us a little bit about that, and if you have any recommendations.
Oh, that was super. So this was the Hindustan Times Leadership Summit where Anand and Gukesh were on the same panel, and Gukesh, of course, was reserved and held back. And
is he the youngest grandmaster? Is that what they're saying?
No, he is the third youngest in the world. He was the youngest. He was the youngest Indian for a few months because it's now become crazy level competition. And I was asking, so when you said recommendations for what? Tell me.
Oh, in general, any sporting recommendations
just to enrich the lives of our listeners, anything.
No, let me tell you what Anand said. Anand says, I was talking to them. I said, how is it that you remember these, that these old classical games? You'll show them their own matches. You'll put them on a screen and they could identify and say, this is what I did, this is what happened. So Anand says that it's like a story. They're all stories. And these are points in that story that you recognize. And that's what you see. And these are like thousands and thousands of matches. And the same thing that was happening was a discussion between classical chess and bullet. I didn't know about bullet chess until he told me, which is a 2-minute match, apparently. And he said, so he talked to Gukesh, and Gukesh said, yeah, I do remember some classical games. And I remember matches, and I've got that kind of memory. He said, do you remember the bullet match you played last week? He said, no. So it's that. Sporting recommendations.
No, it could be anything just to enrich the life of our listeners. A book, anything you liked. I mean, if sporting, great, but otherwise it can be more generic, whatever you liked in the last week.
Okay. Now it'll sound like I haven't been reading. I read a very interesting. No, that'll cause trouble. I won't go there. I'm trying to think of what I can say. There's a very interesting novel by Lionel Shriver, which I've got, which is about tennis, but it's actually about people as well. It's a novel. And of course, I have not forgotten the name.
And we'll recommend your articles in the Hindustan Times too, Shadad. Don't worry about it. We're definitely going to plug those for you.
Please. Yeah, so one has to appear. Okay, let me see. Sporting. I mean, I think the FIFA documentary, I want to see that myself. I have to see that.
I watched 3 out of those 4, by the way. It's really good. I have one more episode to go.
It's how many episodes?
4.
Okay. So I want to see the FIFA documentary. I think there's lots of great work that's happening in documentaries. I'm trying to think of something absolutely sort of what I found out is quite incredible. I got an email from no, I can't go there.
From someone.
From someone telling you something. So
see, I told you Vishwanathan Anand ka wisdom. I'm trying to think, what am I reading?
Aniket, what many people don't realize is how much of a prodigy Anand was when he was young. People don't realize that now because he's so veteran. He was such a prodigy when he was growing up.
And he said that when he was very good at this rapid and blitz chess, which has become like this big.
Yeah.
I mean, I would recommend everybody read his book, Mind Master, because it's a book that's written for non-sports, non-chess enthusiasts and for people in chess. It is spectacular. It's written by Susan Nainan, who co-authored it with him. It is, I mean, chess is described there in a way that is so dramatic and so fantastic that that it'll just blow your mind. You have to read that book. It's an excellent book.
So I think I'm paraphrasing Amit Verma because he had said that Vishy was driving a Maruti in the Formula 1 segment. So just coming from the background that he was, and then where Russian chess was back in the day.
Yes.
So kids learned it in school, and he was picking it up much later. So.
Yeah, and he's now trying to build he has his own chess academy where he works with 8 young Indian players, so he works with them, and that's quite spectacular. Okay, one thing I want to tell everyone, I'm a big champion of this. It's called the Brahmaputra Volleyball League. This is set up in Assam. by a former Indian volleyball captain. And if you go into volleyball federation stories and all, many more horror stories, won't go into them. This league is basically has got about 300 villages competing against each other, playing volleyball, and anyone can sponsor a team. It's about 14,000 rupees a season. Basically, what you do is you pay for the kit and you pay for their transport, and that's it. And it is brilliant. It is, I mean, just the idea, just go and look for it. It's called BVL, Brahmaputra Volleyball League. Please go watch it, support it. Write to them and offer your service in any way. Just do it. It's just great.
That's
just
wonderful, right? Yeah.
Vijit is the guy that you should contact. He's just amazing. He said this is the third year that it's running, and they have teams from all girls and boys. And the great thing that he's done, Abhijit Bhattacharya, the great thing that he's done is that volleyball is sort of 5 versus 5, but he's made this 4 versus 4. So the Volleyball Federation can't say that, listen, this is our league, we control.
Smart.
So your recommendation has filled my heart with joy, because I didn't know about this, and it's such a wonderful initiative. Because we had, I think couple of months back, Baichung on the podcast as well, and he was saying like the only way to improve sport is don't build fancy stadiums, don't do anything, just play. Like, अपने local ground को उसमें utilize करो type. So that was kind of, I'm paraphrasing him, but and this kind of overlays that thought exactly. Like, you've got so much, and it's not going to happen today, but in time you see the effect of compounding, and you will have players who come out from this.
Awesome.
I think we lost Sharda there.
No, it'll come back.
Yeah.
There you go. You're okay now, Sharda.
Yeah. So what happened is the light went off and the Wi-Fi went down. So I'm on my mobile internet now.
No, that's okay. But we'll leave it.
Connection. Yeah.
So,
but no worries. I think this is this is the Kudrat ka, whatever you called it, Sharda, the power going.
Yes, absolutely.
It is the sign from the universe, as they say.
Again, no,
But
thank you,
Sharda, so much.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you so much,
Time has absolutely flown. So thank you so much for it.
I know.
It was a wonderful conversation, and we hope to have many such conversations again.
And we know you like News Laundry, so definitely keep supporting us.
Yeah, please edit definitely things out for this. Please edit.
Yeah.
Will do.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharda. Thanks a ton. Bye.
Bye. Most welcome. Bye.
So, Aniket, now I think we should quickly transition to what I'm also very excited about, which is
let's go.
The FIFA World Cup. I can't wait for the World Cup to start.
Yeah.
We are going to do a bit of a gimmick for this to preview this World Cup, which is to say we're going to draft. We are going to do a draft, American style. You and I live in the States, so we'll do a draft, which is essentially we're going to pick teams that in order of who we think is going to win the World Cup. We're going to pick 4 teams each. You go first, I go second. We go back and forth.
I thought you were going to say let's rock, paper, scissors to...
No, I'm going to... I know I kind of thrust this whole thing upon you. So
all right.
I'm going to give you the first pick and say who do you think is the favorite to win the World Cup in your mind, which means you have draft pick number 1.
Wow. No... You know what? I'm going to hate myself. But I'm going to go with my gut and my heart this time. It's going to be Argentina. So my first pick is Argentina. I just hope...
Why Argentina?
I mean, the form, I think they have like 35 games unbeaten. I think they have a good form. There's Lionel Messi. I think they have a very, very good team. You have Lo Celso, you have... okay, now I'm forgetting names, but you have...
Up front, they have... I'm going to tell you. Up front, they have Messi, Di Maria, Dybala, Correa, Julian Alvarez, all those great guys.
So, freaking fantastic team, I think. How they show up, though, is going to be interesting because there's also the danger of hype, that's associated with them. I mean, obviously, they're on this fantastic form, but it'll be awesome to see where they go because they're in Group C, so they play Poland, Saudi Arabia, and Mexico. So,
correct.
I won't say it's not the group of death, but I don't think it's an easy group as well. Like there's going to be a contention between Poland and Mexico and Argentina, and I'm I'm putting money on Argentina going ahead there, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay.
So,
I mean, the defense might be a bit of a concern, but we'll see what happens. But it is my turn to pick. You said you went with your gut. I'm going to go with my heart, and I'm going to pick Belgium. Because if not now, when? Right? This is it for the golden generation. This is the last hurrah, so to speak. After this, if they don't end up winning anything, if they don't win this World Cup, they will end up as a bit of a lost golden generation.
Yeah. No, actually. It's a good pick. If you think, dude, Kevin De Bruyne, right?
Exactly.
Eden Hazard, he's not played, yes, but I still have that hope that he just shows up with his flamboyance, because I think this is make it or break it for him. Like, he had a spectacular legacy at Chelsea. At one point, I think he was top 2, top 3 in the world. The way he was just playing, he was just insane. Something happened at Real Madrid and it's not going on. Not the biggest fan.
Injuries
but
didn't help either.
There's Romelu Lukaku. They're not his biggest fan, but he'll get the job done, right? So just a phenomenal team they have. They've been dark horses for far too long. So it's their golden generation now. So let's see what they do.
I mean, they do have a experienced side as well now that we are talking about the golden generation for 2 World Cups now, or at least 6 to 7 years. So they have Jan Vertonghen, they have Alderweireld in the defense.
So that's the only thing I have about the defenses. I think both are 34, 35, like
33 and 35. Yeah,
and obviously Di Matteo is their manager, so he's interesting.
Oh, sorry.
Roberto Martinez. Sorry,
he looks like Di Matteo though.
Yeah. So, but
see, that to me is a bit of a concern, Aniket. This is Roberto Martinez. He has been there for all this while, hasn't shown much in the way of results. They did make the semi-finals last time around, but this is everybody's going to break up after this tournament. So we'll see what comes out of it. You got the third pick.
I'm gonna go South America this time again, because it's gonna be Brazil. So I think they have a phenomenal team on paper. I know matches are not won on paper, but I think nevertheless a wonderful team. You have Neymar. Their attacking lineup is insane. The defense is not bad at all, right? Midfield pretty good. They have, I think, one of the best keepers in the world. So I mean, they should just show up. You have youngsters like Vinicius Jr. there, Rafinha coming along. Martinelli is there. He was chosen, right? Martinelli was selected for the squad. Was he? I think he was.
Martinelli was...
Because I know Jesus was not.
No, Martinelli is... Well, let me see.
So...
No, Martinelli did make it. Yes, he's the 26th pick. Gabriel Martinelli did make it. Yeah.
I mean, just Casemiro. I mean, a great team in general. So... Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be South America this time who's going to grab the World Cup. Let's see. I mean, obviously, everything I say will be null and void after the first game. I'm pretty sure that's how these things go. But let's do it for the fun of it.
That's the beauty of picking it, right? That's the beauty. Okay, I'm going to go with the reigning champions, France, as my second pick. Now, they come in with a bit of injuries. Now, N'Golo Kante, I think it is a huge injury. N'Golo Kante, I think, is not being there is huge for them. Now, I don't think Pogba made it too, right? Pogba's not there
out,
either.
Yeah.
They do have some injury concerns, but I think still.
But I think they have enough. To be very honest, they have very promising talent and a lot of depth. So.
Absolutely. Benzema is in his form of his life. You always have Kylian Mbappe, who's just lights out. Giroud is there if he wants to come off the bench. Varane is a little bit iffy because he got injured, so hopefully he's fit. But I know you like Jules Koundé, right?
Yep.
So he's pretty good. Benjamin Pavard. So, yeah.
Saliba
is still there, yeah. So I think they go in with Kingsley Coman. Don't forget him. I love that guy.
So, I mean, they're... Okay, I'm going to let this go. But if you wouldn't have picked, this is my next pick. So...
that's... Yeah, so definitely, yeah. France, I think they one of the favorites, but are they favored like last time around? Probably not.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that assessment. So
your pick.
Oh, it's my pick. No pressure on Niket. All right. So my pick is going to be Spain. So
Okay.
I'm going to pick Spain. Why am I picking Spain? I think this is, I would say, my pragmatic side of me coming in. But it's mostly because of the manager, Luis Enrique. So I think he managed Barca. He's an intense coach. I like the brand of football that he plays. And let's not forget, they have an amazing team. Young team. You have everything. I think the only big worry for them is the front attack, right? The striker. So I think you have Ferran Torres, but
Ansu Fati.
Ansu Fati, surprisingly, Luis Enrique just about 2 weeks or 3 weeks back, my timeline's fudged, but came out saying, Fati is not ready and stuff like that. So he still needs for a full 90-minute game time. And
I think it might end up being Morata and
Ferran
Torres.
So he said that, and but he's super promising. Let's not forget Pedri. He's lights out. He lights the midfield up.
Yes.
So you have Gavi, right? So who's a workhorse? He will come and put in those tackles, put in the effort. So I think everything is good about this team, except
it'll be interesting, Aniket, to see if Unai Simon gets the goalkeeping job, because he's not the number one, I don't think, but I think he comes in automatically to start, I think, because the other number one is Robert Sanchez, who plays for Brighton and Hove Albion, but I don't think he's going to get the start as the goalkeeper. But I think Unai Simon is one of the best goalkeepers going around.
Yeah, and I think that would be the first choice as well, but I wish I was a manager. I'm not. I don't wish. Going into World Cup managing is crazy. So,
but I think they are in the group of death, though. They are with Costa Rica, Germany, Japan. So it might be a little tough. So it's very important that they finish first in this group.
Right, and that's the only doubt I had of picking Spain or not. Because if they go down very early, or if they come out, it looks promising. Yeah. So
okay. So my next pick is, I'm just going to pick them just for the fun of it. It's coming home, Aniket. I'm going to pick England. It only because I'm always perennially, all the newer football fans, right? Who like football because they watch the Premier League, are always always pick England as their favorite to win the World Cup, and it never happens because England is perennially disappointing in these international tournaments. So I'm going to pick England just for the fun of it.
I'm going to. Okay, some
push
healthy,
back on it.
Some banter here, because I think it deserves some. I think the only weak link in that English team is Gareth Southgate. I just cannot go with his brand of. I don't even know if he has a brand of football. It's a very different kind of football that he plays, especially with what happened in the final. I was heartbroken. Again, I started watching Premier League as the first league I actually started watching, to be very honest. And somehow I started watching. I remember my World Cups from the time of Beckham and all that, when this English team was the best team on paper, right? And ever since then, that's where I found the quote, like, matches are not won on papers. Because every World Cup that England has entered, they are the de facto top three, right? You might not say, oh, this is the team that wins, but they've been the top three. But I have a feeling, after talking so much shit about England, I'm going to eat my words very soon.
Well, you are right, though, because if you look at the players that they have and the brand of football
it's
they play,
insane. It's insane lineup. I think they have the best lineup in the world. Like, there's no doubt about it. You go from back
and
to front.
Let's start with their forwards, right? If you look at the forwards, they have Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, Rashford, Grealish. Okay, now look at the midfield. Midfield is kind of crazy. Mason Mount, I love that guy. But don't forget Phil Foden up front too.
Yeah.
And then you have Jude Bellingham, who's just so great. He's a 19-year-old. You have James Maddison, who got the nod ahead of a few other midfielders that were going around. So they have a solid lineup. You're right. But as you said, you have a conservative coach.
Also Declan Rice, right? I think he's going to.
Rice is there.
He's going to. Oh man, I was just looking at the lineup now. Conor Gallagher. Ben. They're fully loaded team. Like,
they do have a conservative manager, as you said, in the form of Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, that's the only thing I have. Yeah, I just feel like Yeah, I don't know what more to say. That the manager should not choke, because with the decisions he made against Italy, I mean, it really seemed. You know what I'm talking about, like getting Rashford on for the Bukayo Saka and all that stuff that happened. Again, we have Saka. Let's not forget, he's being insane.
He's the man in form.
Yeah, so it's a good pick though. I mean, you're picking with a good betting mind, so I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so your pick, your last pick, your fourth pick.
Oof. My fourth pick. Oh,
I know who I'm picking. I'm eager to see if you pick the team.
You know who you're picking. Okay.
For last, but I know who I'm picking. Who my next pick would be.
I don't want to give you a shot and say, Gautam, you go ahead of me, because I'm worried that I have 3 teams I want to pick. So that's the problem. So
I know that's
oh god. Okay. I'm going to fight and I'm going to say Uruguay.
Interesting.
Just
I was
for
not thinking about Uruguay.
Just for stirring the pot, as they say. You know, just see what comes out of it. So we'll see. I hope though Ronald Araujo makes it. He's kind of injured. It's going to be borderline as a defender. So yeah, I mean, I'm again just picking. This is a pick just for the sake of picking. I mean, like just to be radical. Just to be radical. So
I'm just looking at the squad and Diego Godin is the captain. He's still playing.
Yeah,
amazing.
This guy's insane. So
oh man, he looks like a 40-year-old though, but he's great. Now Suarez is still in there, so he's one of their veterans along with Diego Godin, Martin Cesares. I remember that guy, Jose Jimenez. So yeah, it is definitely. Well, I don't know if they're the favorites, but
yeah,
definitely...
But yeah, I mean, I again said this with intention, because I said I made the claim that it's coming to South America, so flood my options. But
stay true to your word. So you did not pick anybody from, well, let's see, no Portugal. You did not pick them. Did you pick Spain? You did pick Spain, right?
I picked Spain was my only non.
Okay, so the ones that are left on the board are Germany, Portugal, and Netherlands, and I'm going to go with Netherlands. They're in Group A with Ecuador, Qatar, and Senegal. They should come out of the group quite easily. Luis Van Gaal has done a decent job. They have a really good. I like the team. They have a solid team. Did they make the semi-finals in the Euro? They failed to make the World Cup last time around.
They also failed against the Nations League, right? I don't know how seriously you take it, but
nah, nobody takes them seriously. But they have a solid team, solid defense with Virgil van Dijk. I'm not a big fan of in the recent years, but he's still their anchor and the captain. Matthijs de Ligt, Nathan Ake, Stephen De Vrij, all of them are solid guys.
Yeah.
Memphis Depay is there up front. Daley Blind is still going around, by the way, age 32.
Right, and obviously you have Frankie De Jong, so
so he's the midfield general, right? So we'll see what comes out of it. Don't sleep on Memphis Depay. I'm telling you, he's been pretty good, and Luke De Jong as well. So
Memphis Depay is actually he can be a very important player, very important player. I saw streaks of it while I was following him in Barcelona. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, he just didn't get the time we went with Lewandowski and stuff. So yeah, no, it's going to be it's a nice pick, I would say.
Steven Bergwijn. So yeah, they have a really good team, so they might make
Matthias de Ligt. So I think their defense is deep. Like they have solid. Just so many A-class defenders that it's going to be a headache for the coach to pick. So
yeah. So definitely look out for the Netherlands. So we've left Portugal and Germany on the board. Germany mostly,
but
because
let's talk about them anyways, because I think they're very interesting teams, and let's.
No, I don't know how you can discount Germany from these big tournaments.
Yeah, I mean you can't. The only thing that might go against them right now is I wouldn't say they're on a rebuilding phase, but they kind of are. Like not an overhaul, but after Joachim Löw left, you have a new manager, and let's not forget
Hansi Flick.
Yeah, and there's just so much. So Musiala is there, so he's going to be super promising youngster, and he's going to be 19. I mean, again, Pedri, Gavi, and all these guys are teenagers who are playing their World Cups. Oh man, what am I doing with my life? But okay, that's a different philosophical question. So,
But if you think about it, they do have all these.
Joshua
Serge
Kimmich.
Gnabry's,
They have
Kimmich is still there.
Yeah.
Kai Havertz is still there.
they
Right?
have
Nicolas
Nicolas
Sule.
Sule, exactly.
Who has the most German face of them all. And if you look at him, you know that he's from Germany.
You have Ilkay Gundogan, Leroy Sané, Mario. Oh, it's a good.
Goetze is still there.
Yeah. So you have Nico Schlotterbeck. I think he's also young, right?
Yes. He's in his early 20s, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So wow, it's going to be interesting. And then you have obviously Thomas Muller, Kai Havertz.
He's still there.
I
Kai
don't
Havertz
know.
is still there.
What's your thoughts on Kai Havertz? Like,
He's okay. He's going to be. I don't think he's going to start ahead of, let's say, Sane, right? He's not going to start ahead of Serge Gnabry, I don't think.
no,
So
you're
it'll be
confusing.
interesting how they
Sané
use
plays
it.
for Senegal.
So Leroy Sané.
Oh, sorry. I thought Sadio
Leroy
Mane.
Sané.
I heard Mane.
No,
Sorry,
Sadio
you were
Mane.
right. You were right. My bad. I heard Mane. I'm bad. Sorry. Yeah. So.
By the way, Senegal has.
I was going to say they also have a really good team, and if not
Yeah.
Uruguay, my next pick was Senegal. I don't know why I bailed on them. I actually went and looked up their team earlier, and
they're
then
good. Koulibaly is there, Mendy is there.
yeah.
Of course, Sadio Mane is still there, so he's going to be good.
And they also won
Sadio Mane has-
they also won the AFC, so
Yes.
the African Cup of Nations. So I mean, it's not the World Cup, but still, they have a good team, and they have a really good team. And now I wonder why
They have a definite chance of making through from the group stage because they're with Netherlands and Qatar and Ecuador, so they'll fancy the chances to go through. But we should talk about Portugal just because of Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Because
and
he's in the
after this,
news.
I'm going to piggyback on a topic I'm going to talk about. But we first go to Portugal. Yeah. No,
True. So Portugal has. I don't know.
It's a fantastic team. Like,
it is a good team. But do you fancy the chances? I really like João Felix now, but is he going to play with Ronaldo? He's a bit of a redundancy because they play kind of the same role. So Felix might be just dropping back to the number 10 position, and Ronaldo might play up front because he has to start, right? Bruno Fernandes is going to dictate everything. Obviously, I love Bruno Fernandes. I've seen him quite a lot of the last 2 years, so he's going to be good. Now, their defense is. I don't know if they're good or not because Ruben Diaz is good.
Left
João
back, they have
Cancelo is good.
Cancelo. I mean, come on, like.
Right.
So
Diego Dallo is good. I guess
Yeah.
he's been starting recently, but he's only played 6 games for the Portuguese. So, yeah, they have a decent side. Now, will they make it to the semi-finals? I don't know.
well, I wish I could give guarantees here, but they're as strong as a side can get. If you know what I mean, like you have, I think their midfield is spectacular. You have
Yes.
Bruno Fernandes, you have Bernardo Silva, and then obviously I don't expect Cristiano Ronaldo to drop back, but then I don't know if is that a place they'll make João Felix play? I don't know.
No, João Felix I think is going to be the attacking midfielder, so he's going to be just behind Ronaldo. He's going to play just behind him.
So how about even this guy Rafael Lau? How do you say his name? I don't know. Who plays for
Leao or
Lau?
something?
Yeah,
he
so
plays
he
for
Milan, right? So he looks.
But I think honestly only 2 of the 6 forwards that they've picked are going to play, and it's probably going to be Ronaldo and Felix.
Yeah.
Because Felix, I think I love the guy. And now Andre Silva is good too, but is he going to go get the nod ahead of João Felix? I don't know.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who's your goalkeeper? Diego Costa or Rui Patricio? For
It has to be
Portugal.
Rui Patricio because he's the guy for them, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I would have maybe hedged on Diego Costa, but okay.
Yeah. But if you look at the number of caps,
Yeah, for sure.
He's clearly fancy
Yeah,
Rui Patricio.
yeah.
He's played 104 games against 7 for Diego Costa, so definitely the backup.
You are a stat master. I don't know how you get your stats, but
No, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia. No.
Okay.
I just get the stats from Wikipedia. I have the page open. Are you kidding?
so I was like, okay. But yeah.
Overall, I think, as I think we discussed earlier, Aniket, I don't think this is a weird World Cup because it's so in the calendar. It's such a strange time to be playing the World Cup.
Yeah.
The mind is still not tuned completely to the World Cup yet. I don't think it will until it starts. So there's no real favorites to pick. Honestly, there's no clear standout team.
Yeah, just because okay, there are a couple of things. Let's zoom out a little bit. Teams have just got together, right? So they basically meet for a week.
Some haven't yet.
Yeah.
They played until yesterday and day before.
So you meet for a week, right? It's just too many variables here to move around. There is just so many injuries. I can bet this is not the end of the injuries we are seeing, right? So there are definitely going to be many more. The question is which team can deal with it, which team cannot, depth, all these so just too many variables, the time of the year that it is there. I mean, guys, go watch FIFA Uncovered. I binged it in one sitting shamelessly, like all the 4 episodes. 4 or 5? How many are there?
4. I think 4.
Yeah? Okay. So
it's called FIFA Uncovered. We are going to recommend
FIFA
this.
Uncovered, which basically talks about everything we spoke with Sharda about politics in sport. What is it like? And the way Qatar has got. There's some fantastic reporting happening out there on this whole Qatar World Cup. So, it's just insane. Like, it's in middle. It helps. This World Cup basically helps nobody. No one. Not the players, because they're coming from mid-season. They haven't met.
They're coming from the mid-season playing and then immediately going. If you
going
look at the
back,
Premier League, Aniket,
going
they're
back,
going to be back.
They're going
By the way,
with,
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But the English Premier League is going to start back again in the week of Christmas. And you know how insane that schedule gets.
They're going to go back. They're going to be gassed out. Okay? So, for most of these players, I don't think none of them, club football will be more. I think it's at most pride is wearing your national shirt on your on top of you. So everyone's going to be gassed out. It's just going to be only the early exiters or the teams or the few players who are not playing are going to be the ones who come out fresh. So this does not help players. This does not help the clubs. Does this help Qatar? We'll find out. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
I mean, the thing is, from what I heard a podcast from The Economist. I think that's going to be another recommendation of mine. I think it's called The Intelligence, and they discuss one topic on the football in Qatar. From what reports are coming, it seems like exactly what Sharda said. Things are far from where they were supposed to be. In terms of they're trying to there are no hotels. Apparently, they are selling these fancy ass tickets, and then apparently turns out when the reporters go there, it's actually a tent. Literally a tent that you're trying to purchase. Traffic problems. They're trying to arrange buses there. They are out of infrastructure. So it seems like they're out of their depth. This is a reporter's job, so we'll only know when it's finally executed what it actually is. T4 Football, I'm giving all my recommendations right here, but okay. So T4 Football has this wonderful series on the World Cup in Qatar. It has one episode out. They zoom out, go to the history of how politics is involved in all of this, right to the Kuwait war and stuff. So very interesting watch. But yeah, I mean, it just seems like, and after watching that Football Uncovered, I'm like, how did Qatar pull this off? Like, it is just insane. I don't know what it is, but they did it, and they literally moved everything from footballing schedule to, lives of people, and now it was you who said, like, Sepp Blatter came out saying that he wished he didn't pick Qatar. Is that true?
Yeah, Sharda said it, and he said it in the documentary too, I think.
Oh, maybe
because Sepp Blatter in the documentary says he was against Qatar, and he advised some of the people on the FIFA executive committee who makes the decisions to vote against Qatar, but it was too late by then because Qatar was meeting with all of these big, strong honchos.
Yeah,
they were meeting with like the French president and all these big top-notch guys, right? So
I remember watching even that they said basically the England was in contest, right? I think it was
England in 2018 and USA in 2022.
2022. Okay, so this
is supposed to be America this time around.
Oh, okay. So I stand corrected. All right, but whatever. I saw this thing, and it was like absolute shock when you go back and you watch that video of Qatar. It's like I don't think anybody except Sepp Blatter knew it was going to be Qatar. One of those things, but anyway, here we are. can't be more
It
excited.
hasn't sunk in yet. But once I'm sure the tournament starts, we'll all be swept up.
I'm not going to care about all this once the tournament starts. I'm being very honest.
I know.
It's just going to be football, and I love football. I'm going to be watching it.
Exactly.
So
as much as we hate what goes on behind, World Cup, I think Football World Cup, is the best tournament in the whole world. It's not even close.
Nothing gets me as excited. No other sport gets me as excited.
Definitely not. But it's such a great tournament. It's just a different dynamic. You don't get to see these players often in those colors. So I'm sure once the kickoff happens on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it is, I'm going to be glued on to the television to watch it.
So same here. But okay, so I think we've spoken football. But okay, if you had to pick of all these teams, you already picked, right? What was your first pick again? I forget.
Belgium.
So okay, you're saying Belgium. So according to the way drafts work, you say Belgium has the maximum probability of winning the World Cup.
In my mind.
In your mind.
Mostly in my heart.
Okay, I'm Argentina also from my heart. My brain was thrown aside, but I tried joining a lot of dots, momentum, manager, Messi, all these things.
But the first dot was Messi.
Deep, it was. No, I'm not even going to defend it. But it helps that he has a good team. We'll see what they do. But with that being said,
I know you spoke briefly about Brazil, so let's speak about Sao Paulo and the Formula 1 that happened. How about that transition, huh?
Yeah. That was a good segue. So, did you catch that race? It was lights out. It was insane.
I missed it.
It was insane. It was probably the best race that happened this calendar year. So, you said you saw the highlights, right? But let me recap where in my head was the drama.
We should probably get Lippy in also. I'm sure Lippy watched it. So
yeah, we should definitely get Lippy on. And so what actually happened was this was a sprint race weekend, right? So qualifiers happen on Friday. This is for the listeners. And while qualifying was happening, there was a weather change. Okay, so there was just this little rain and then it went dry and then, so of all the people, Kevin Magnussen was on pole. Okay, so
for Haas.
For Haas. So Haas was on the pole and his teammate was 20th, I think. So it was just insane. And then there was obviously
Mick Schumacher, right?
So in all probability, I feel bad saying this, but I don't think he's going to be on the grid next year the way things are going. Nevertheless, come the sprint race, and it was George Russell who was on P1. There was an insane crash between Alonso and his teammate Esteban Ocon. So Alonso was out. Esteban Ocon fell back to I think 15th spot. Everything that could happen in a Formula 1 race happened in this. So they were, I think, to summarize the race, the final feature race, Mercedes ended up 1-2, Ferrari 3-4, and then it was Alonso 5th, I think, and 6th, 7th was Red Bull. And there was Daniel Ricciardo and Kevin Magnussen coming together and crashing. There was Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris crashing. Charles went into the wall. I don't know how he finished P4. He somehow limped his car back and came P4.
Yeah, I saw the crash and I don't know how he got up.
Yeah,
he somehow started the pits again.
He somehow limped his car back. And then, as always, Max and Hamilton came together. So it was just insane. In all of this, so just to give more context, Max has won the World Drivers' Championship. Red Bull have won the Constructors' Championship. But for P2, right, the race is open between Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez. So Sergio Perez tells Red Bull to let him go through, and Red Bull put a message out to Max asking him to let him go through, and Max flat out disobeys team orders. It is just insane. I think it's stupidity, because he's not biting for P1, he's P6, and he refuses to let Sergio Perez go through everything. This
guy who helped him almost win, win him
win
the championship
dude,
title
it was
last year.
insane. Like, it was Max won that that season only because of Checo, not once but time and again. And there was a brief snippet. I think we'll add that on this as an audio piece. But Max says, we've already discussed this over summer, and I told you I'm not going to let him go through. So something happened over the summer. People allegedly say that Checo intentionally crashed in Monaco. Not sure how far that's true, but that pissed Max off because he couldn't get his drive out in the qualies and stuff like that. And then Checo won, right? So if you go watch this one Netflix episode, I think the whole Drive Survives, everything comes into play, politics and everything. It was just insane.
Max, if we don't pass Fernando on the exit of 12, can we let Checo through, please? Let Checo back through. Yeah, don't worry about the DRS, Max. Let Checo through. Let Checo through. Max, what happened?
I told you already last time, you guys don't ask that again to me, okay? Are we clear about that? I gave my reasons, and I stand by it.
Okay, so Max will let you through.
Yeah, thank you for that, guys. Thank you.
I'm sorry about that, Checo.
We'll debrief everything afterwards.
Yeah, it shows who he really is.
So this to me, I'm going to ask Lippy this question. This to me is a tale that is as old as time. There's an alpha dog, and then there's his teammate. Sometimes the guy who's in second always wants some preferential treatment because the alpha dog always gets the preferential treatment, right? And that's how Formula One works. If you're the alpha dog, you make sure you get everything that you can. Doesn't matter if the stakes are high or there are no stakes involved if you're Max Verstappen, right? But still he doesn't let him through. So Lippy, what did you make of the whole thing?
Okay, I get your point about the whole alpha dog thing, but I still don't understand like this behavior because it didn't matter to him. Like, he had nothing to lose, nothing to gain also. So I do not, I remember everyone, we all know that Formula One has this like driver one, driver two thing. Like, you are competing with your own teammate also. And everyone knows about it, but he didn't have anything to gain. So I don't understand that why he could not.
The only answer, Lippy, is ego.
Is too petty. I just think it's damn petty. So like not, I mean it and he has done so much. Checo has done so much for him. And because even in Mercedes, when Valtteri was there was this driver two, driver one treatment. But I do not remember Lewis being so petty about it. Not that petty.
No, I mean, it is ridiculous. Like, the only thing is, even if whatever happened, whatever the rumors in summer over Monaco is true, he really is so petty that he's like, oh, you did that to me, I'm going to stick it up for you for P6. It's literally down to being that petty. And what he's ruined his relationship with his teammate, who's going to be there at least till 2024, right? So, and it's just put the team in such a pickle. It's such an situation to be in. I don't know how they're going to deal with it, but it was just insane. But I went crazy because I was just laughing. that was my reaction when they play the radio and he's like, no, I'm not going out. I just burst out laughing. I didn't know how else to react.
The whole race ended and they replayed it for everyone to listen to it. Like, it was not of the live coverage. Yeah. And it's just like, I mean, whatever he did, even then he won, right? Like, even if Checo, if he did, let's say, benefit of doubt and whatever, and he did crash on purpose, Max won Monaco anyway. How does it matter? So
yeah,
I don't understand.
But I think that's how these guys are driven. I'm not supporting his behavior, but that's how the world of Formula One is.
I mean, I also told that to someone, like, that's why I'm not racing. I just don't have that killer instinct, like, to just turn the knife when it's already in. Just turn the knife a little bit more.
And that seeps through not just through the drivers but also the team management, right? All these principles too are like very very cutthroat. That's how it operates in that world. You have all these sponsors and all of that. But I think Max said that Mercedes were the favorite to win the race from the beginning, and it turned out to be that. I think Mercedes for some reason had a better car this time round. Are they slowly finding their feet here, Lippy, for next season?
We told you that as Ferrari fans,
two Ferrari fans told you this was going to happen. So
right now, Ferrari and Mercedes are fighting for second in constructors.
Yeah.
There's like 4 or 5 points difference. That's it. And that can be easily covered in Abu Dhabi. So
is there only one race left?
Yeah.
Okay, so they can definitely clinch this second spot.
And the way they are going, I mean, they had great pace this Sao Paulo, and I think on the sprint day itself, Max said that Mercedes looks unbeatable.
Yeah.
Right? And they did. I mean, it was great to see them back, in the front. And I think also there was not just this one. Even when the race was ending, I remember Charles asking his team that if he can, switch with Sainz, which was a great decision by the team not to let him, because it's really wrong to take away podium for. I mean, no, it's wrong.
For sure. I think, given how this Ferrari season has gone, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they end up finishing third, because they do not seem to me like the smartest people on the circuit, to be honest, as far as the back.
There's a lot of shuffling going to happen after this season in their team. I hope that happens, because I think they need it. And if you remember the post-race interviews that happened, I think even in that, Sainz said that I think Mercedes might win in Abu Dhabi, because he said something on the lines of like, we have to, be prepared for them to win, but we'll push to our 100%.
A bit of a defeatist attitude, if you ask me, Aniket.
I mean, come on, like, I don't blame him. Like,
that's the reality of the man. Yeah,
they've been absolutely botching it up. Like, Ferrari is the king. Like, if there was a world championship in botching it up, Ferrari had taken it mid-season. So it is unfortunately been like that. Even with Leclerc, all that's happened the past couple of races, it's just insane. I mean,
did you see this weekend the qualifying? Everyone, Leclerc is on inters.
Yeah. So he didn't get a lap in, right? I don't even know. He put in I don't know. I can't remember what happened now.
He put a lap in, I think, right? He was sliding all over the place.
And he was asking his engineer that, am I the only one who's on inters? They're like, yeah, we can confirm you're the only car on inter. I mean,
oh my God.
Even his teammate was not on inters.
Seriously, like, it was just I mean, there's like, the buck stops at Mattia Binotto, but their strategist is like, mashallah. Like, he's made the number of strategical errors you made in one season. It's just, I think it's a record.
I agree to Aniket and you when you say, like, I didn't expect Leclerc to finish P4, because his crash, and after that the amount of pit stops they asked him to make, there was 3 pit stops. And even Sainz, I don't know how he finished third, because every time he was in a good position, they're like, box, and I'm like, but why? He's doing well, let him go.
Yeah, no, this team is the flip side of what it is. You have two very good potential race winning, even world championship winning drivers. I think Sainz is also pretty good. He might not win it immediately, but down the line, there's a decent chance. You give him a good car, he really fights. But this is a team that just absolutely botches it up every time. And you can see, I think Charles at one point is now fed up. So you can just see he's defeated. Like, he feels defeated in his
where he said that everyone thinks that I felt like, in French Grand Prix I lost everything, but I think I lost long back in Belgium itself. He said
so it's I mean, you got to really shake things up in this team to anything good to come out of it.
Yeah, so We
Go
have
ahead.
so what? We have one more race to go. Essentially, the only thing it comes down to is who finishes second and third in the constructors. Then, right?
Yeah.
And team
And
drivers both.
Yes, and the drivers
yeah.
too. Yeah. George, good for George Russell. Finally, I think he's a fantastic driver.
First
Good on
win.
him.
Yeah.
That he's been showing signs throughout the season, and finally he's got his much deserved P1.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
I
that
said,
must. Go ahead, Lippy. Sorry.
no, so I was just saying that, when we were watching, I was just wondering if today there will be like, will George get to know that he's the driver two of Mercedes? But it did not happen because he was quite faster than Hamilton, and also the crash. If you see Max's statement even after the crash, that was also not a very, very, like, it was a very arrogant statement that, I had nothing to lose, but I know it costed him the win.
That's the way he is. You like him, dislike him, doesn't matter. You just have
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
why I
way he
don't like
is.
him at all. I can't stand Max Verstappen.
But tell you
Yeah,
what, the Lippy, he's not going to change.
That's there.
like
And I hate, I mean, I know he's a very talented, there's no doubt about it, very talented driver, but I just think he's way too arrogant. Like, in some ways, he's a lot like Fernando.
I have this insane, deep, latent respect for Max. He's everything that I cannot be. So he's just, and he also came out saying, right, that the crash didn't impact me. Mercedes were anyway winning it. So he's ruthless. And obviously, I think if you watch that again, that was more of a racing incident / Hamilton fault, but he got the 5-second penalty for it. Fair enough. I mean, at this point, he is going to be smoking cigars after races. Like, that's the way it's going right now. So yeah,
What a place to be. Yeah, Abu Dhabi will be another exciting Grand Prix. So we'll see what happens.
And for the record, he did say that if after everything, he did say that if Checo needed him in Abu Dhabi, he would show up. So he did say that to be fair. But yeah, I mean, I think Max made some. I don't know if it was intentional, but just the things he said have opened a lot of Pandora's box. Like, the number of hits that must have gone on that Monaco qualifiers, people going and trying to watch what happened. Apparently, it was rumored that either Checo told the team or whatever.
Did he crash right before that tunnel, if I remember?
Yeah. And then Sainz also crashed. That's the one.
Yeah.
They called it off. Yeah.
So, unnecessary questions are going to be asked. I think it was a dick move from Max Verstappen to really,
He's a bit of a dick, so yeah.
I mean, yeah, he is. That's what I like. He has that, and he doesn't give a rat's ass about who thinks what, and yeah. So
I think when it comes to crashes and everything, I think Red Bull needs a very good media trainer. I do believe they need one. If they don't have one, definitely please put it out right now. And second, I think when it comes to crashes and everything, as much as I don't know, but I think he's a lot like Lewis in that ways, because Lewis has also always believed in, like, if there's a little bit of gap, then you push for it and you take it. And I think that's what even Max does.
Yeah.
You don't see any, and if you actually go and see most of Lewis and Max's crashes, it's a lot of time Lewis's fault also.
yeah.
It's been Max who has been a lot of penalties.
I think Kevin Magnussen said it best. He said if we were to give space, we wouldn't be here racing. Like, it is to win. And this is what bothers me about Charles Leclerc. He's like, no, take 2-lane width. He doesn't have that same,
not as aggressive,
that killer instinct that Max has. So I think we've spoken about this earlier as well. But
I think that's why it took so much time to get the second driver, because they were always like, we want someone like Max, who's always ready to crash, I guess, or basically to make that space
for the win. Yeah.
And clearly Albon and Pierre were not the same kind of people.
It will be insane if Max does a kamikaze and in Abu Dhabi just crashes into one of the Mercedes.
I would not run that. Like, it may happen. It has happened in the past with Prost and
would it surprise you? No, right?
Won't be surprised, because Prost and Senna did that. So I mean,
correct. Yeah. Remember
but
that?
F1 TV has a video of asking the Formula One drivers Okay, what do you think about Prost?
Yeah.
And Max is on record saying, yeah, I would do that. So,
There you go. Wouldn't put it
So-
past him.
yeah.
But anyway, I think we should close on that. Aniket, if you have any closing thoughts.
No, just this. It was a great race. I had a lot of fun watching it. Yeah, that's about it. Somehow Interlagos always gives a fun race.
Always.
Yeah, never
Always.
disappoints. So with that, we can give our recommendations. So Gautam, go ahead.
I have only one. Well, couple. FIFA Uncovered for sure. I watched 3. I was on the train last night, so I downloaded 3 episodes and watched it on my tablet. So it is a great watch. They do a good job of getting behind the scenes as to how these decisions take place, and there's some history to it as well. So do check that out on Netflix, and also check out newslaundry.com. Go to that website, hit the subscribe button. You know what we do, but if you haven't seen any listened to any other podcasts, do go check them out, and also the news reports and interviews too. There have been a lot of video interviews recently, so do check those out.
Yeah, with that, pay to keep news free. Before I say that, I'm going to recommend one more thing just because Ben Stokes played the game that he did. So I think Amazon has this original called Ben Stokes Phoenix from the Ashes. So I had recommended it earlier. I think I don't remember when, but I think it's apt for this particular episode just because we spoke about him and the way he is. So go watch that and you learn about what a phenomenal guy he is.
Awesome. Well, thanks again to Sharda Ugra. Thanks to Producer Lippy for producing this podcast. Aniket, it's World Cup time, so I'm sure we'll keep chatting, but next time we are back, we are going to talk a lot of FIFA World Cup, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise.
Until then, thanks everybody. Thanks, guys.
All the News Laundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to News Laundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs, and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.